So this is another crafting video for endgame Cold Dot, for my build at least. And in this video today I want to show you how to craft an armor like this that looks like this. Um, if you want to take it even a step further and make it the best of the best that you can get, I'll show you how to do that. I personally don't think it's necessary to spend another 20, 30, 40, 50 divines just to get a better armor, but if you want to push the envelope and get the best of the best, I'll show you how to do it. Um, what you have to understand, my build does not use evasion, so I went for a base that has energy shield and evasion. The reason why it has to have evasion is for spell suppression. But if your build uses grace and you want to craft a similar armor, you can just go for the evasion base only, because on top of getting more evasion, you also have much easier time crafting. If we go to craft of exile and we go to body armor of Dex, and then we search for suppression, um, let's just say that we use chaos orb and we search for suppression. This is how many tries you would use for a tier 1 spell suppression. But if you go to um strength dex int, you would have to use more than double to hit tier 1 spell suppression. And also when you are using an essence uh, like this, let's just say that we are using essence of hysteria, it's 1 in 82, whereas if the base was dex, it would be 1 in 36. So you have to keep that in mind. Now let's go over how you would craft this armor. So if you buy the base with the fractured maximum life, then it's easy. If you want to have the best base, this is how you craft the best base. So you would go to this and search for sadist garb, because this is the best energy shield base. Um, you would it it would have to be, if you wanted to get tier 1 spell suppression, it would have to be item level 86. But if you don't care about tier 1 spell suppression, you just go with item level maybe 84 for the resistances, or 77. Either one is fine. But let's just say that we go for item level 86. And here at base percentage, we will put 100. And we would buy these bases. Here at base percentage, if you look under quality, it says evasion rating, and there's a range. There's an interval uh, from which it goes up to. The same goes for the energy shield. If it's one at 100%, it would have 434 evasion rating for as baseline, and the energy shield would be 89 as a baseline. Now this is only if you're making the fracture yourself, because there are none on the market. So you would buy this base, you would go to the emulator, um, create new item, um, what you would do at this point, you would use an essence, make this rare, you would use an essence of uh, greed, deafening essence of greed, and you would spam it until you hit 126 maximum life, and you have only 4 modifiers. If you have more than 4 modifiers, just use Orb of Annulment and hope that doesn't remove the maximum life. Then you would use the Fracturing Orb in the hopes that it fractures the maximum life. So this is how you would obtain the base. There's even a better way to do it, but that's much more expensive, and that would have to be with a temple, which is be an incursion modifier, which is this one right here. So if you that would be the best base that you can find, this modifier right here with a fracture. if you want it like this. If you cannot, but this is hard to find. And also, anyway, if you go for fracturing orb, you decide, depends on what is on the market. If you go for the increased maximum life veil incursion modifier, or you just fracture tier 1 essence of grid. Anyway, this base alone could be worth around 50 divines. Just keep that in mind. Um, at this point, what you would do, you would go to essences, and let me show you. So the essence modifier would be either increased area of effect, which I choose because I'm an occultist, but let's just say you are an elementalist or any other class and you want the mana reservation efficiency, you craft with deafening essence of floating. But in my case, because I'm not an elementalist, I don't have area of effect, I chose this essence of hysteria, which gives me 25 increased AoE. So we go to essences, essence of hysteria, and spam this until you hit the desired tier of spell suppression. In my case here, 16% was good enough to get me at 100, but you have to do some calculations. What exactly do you want? Do you want what exactly do you need? Do you need tier 2? Do you need tier 4? Do you need tier 1? Anyway, let's just assume that you need tier 1 and put it like this. Uh, at this point, what you would do, this is why I'm saying you have to craft this at the last, because if you need that last resistance on your body armor, it's going to be actually quite difficult, because at this point you have to use 2 divines just to craft suffixes cannot be changed like this. Now you have to go to harvest, and you have to, if you need a chaos one, you'd use add remove chaos, which is the most expensive. But if you need any of the but if you need an elemental resistance, it doesn't matter which one, you would go for which is the cheapest to get, depending on the pricing of the seeds. Probably the cold is going to be the most expensive, so you just go with fire or lightning like this. But if you want the chaos, you just spam add remove chaos. If it gets to a point where, let's just say, you are not happy with that resistance, at this point you have to use an orb of annulment and just pray that it doesn't remove, which is very unlikely. So this is why it is expensive. Probably you're not going to go for tier 1 spell suppression because it's too hard to hit. And also, if you care about the third resistance, it's going to be difficult. Um, so once again, if you get to this point, harvest, add, remove, chaos. We got lucky, we got tier 1. At this point, you can use the beast. You can use the beast that gives you suffixes cannot be changed. We go to the body armor veiled modifiers. I go for the chance to avoid elemental elements and chance to avoid being stunned, because it's so much quality of life to have chance to avoid elemental elements. So this is the modifier that I want. Basically, at this point, I will go to Syndicate Aisling Veil and see what can I block. As you can see, these are different IDs, different numbers. So I can only have one craft. I can choose to craft at chance to block attack damage or spell damage or increase maximum life. I go to craft and put like this and unveil and hope that it gives me like, for example, I don't care about the increased maximum mana. Maybe you care because you have to run some calculations. If you really don't need the veiled modifier of 30 to 35 to reach maximum chance to avoid elemental elements, then you definitely don't need the veiled chance to avoid elemental elements. But if you need, you repeat this process until you get it like this, and then you just craft um, increased maximum life and increased maximum mana like this, and this is your armor. This is how you craft it. Once again, if you want to make the best of the best, it would have to be on a sadist garb with this temple modifier, which is also fractured, which is probably going to cost around 50 divines just the base. To hit tier 1 spell suppression and tier 1 chaos or another resistance is going to cost you at least 40 to 50 divines, to be honest. So this is why settling for a much cheaper version would be advised, because the difference, to be honest, is not really not that great. And also the reason why you craft it at last is because this is a very hard craft to hit spell suppression and chaos resistance, especially on a dex int base. If you go with the grace and you don't care about the energy shield and you want as much invasion as possible, you can definitely get it for cheaper because the chance of you hitting spell suppression is much higher. Anyway, this is how you craft this type of body armor.